The millionaire installed the cameras not out of control, but out of fear, deep, quiet fear that lived in his chest every time he looked at his son. Adam had been full of life once. At 17, he loved speed, music, and laughter. Then one rainy night, one broken turn, and everything stopped. The accident didn't take his life, but it stole his body. Now Adam lay in a large, spotless room filled with machines that beeped softly, reminding everyone that he was still alive. His arms didn't move. His legs were silent. His voice came out only in broken sounds that hurt more than words. Doctors said his mind was still sharp. "He understands everything," they explained gently. "His thoughts are clear, he's just trapped. Trapped inside silence." For the father, money had always solved problems, so he spent it freely on the best hospitals, the most advanced equipment, and highly trained nurses flown in from different countries. But no matter how qualified they were, none stayed long. Some complained it was too emotionally heavy. Others said the boy scared them with his eyes that followed every movement, eyes that begged for something no one seemed able to give. Every goodbye felt like another failure. That was when the cameras appeared. Small, almost invisible, placed carefully in corners of Adam's room and the hallway outside. The father told himself they were for protection, to make sure his son was treated well, to prevent neglect, to give him peace of mind. In truth, they were also there because he could not always be present and guilt never slept. Then Lena arrived. She didn't look impressive. No expensive resume, no confident smile, just a quiet woman with tired eyes and simple clothes. She spoke softly, moved slowly, and didn't ask many questions. When she first met Adam, she didn't rush to adjust machines or check charts. She simply stood there for a moment, looking at him, not past him, not at the equipment, but at him. The father almost dismissed her. But something made him pause. Lena accepted the job without negotiating salary. She only nodded and said, "I'll take care of him." The cameras were already running when she began her first shift. They were never meant to watch her. They were meant to protect Adam. The father had no idea that those silent lenses were about to show him something he had forgotten existed, something money could never buy. The house was silent when the father opened the security app on his phone. It was well past midnight, the hour when worries grew louder and sleep refused to come. He told himself he was only checking out of habit, just another glance to make sure everything was fine, yet deep inside, something uneasy pulled him toward the screen. The camera feed from Adam's room flickered to life. The lights were dim, casting long shadows across the walls. Machines hummed softly, steady and calm. Lena was there, moving slowly, her footsteps almost soundless. The father expected to see her finishing her duties quickly, adjusting pillows, checking tubes, then leaving the room as most nurses did. But she didn't leave. Instead, Lena pulled a chair closer to Adam's bed and sat down. She didn't look at the clock. She didn't glance at her phone. She simply sat beside him as if she had nowhere else she needed to be. She picked up a worn book from her bag and began to read aloud. Her voice was quiet but warm, filling the room gently. She read not like someone following instructions, but like someone sharing a moment. Every few lines, she paused and looked at Adam's face as if waiting for a reaction only she believed could come. Then she set the book aside. With slow, careful movements, Lena cleaned Adam's hands. She wiped between his fingers, dried them, and rubbed lotion into his skin the way a mother might do for a child. She spoke to him while she worked, telling him about the weather, the street outside, and small, ordinary things people never thought he needed to hear. "You know," she said softly, "your hands are strong, they just forgot how to move." The father leaned closer to the screen, his chest tightening. Lena didn't talk over Adam, she talked to him. She waited after each sentence, giving him space like she truly expected an answer. Then she did something no one had ever done before. She picked up a pen from the table and gently placed it between Adam's fingers. His hand trembled slightly, weak and unresponsive. The pen slipped, almost falling. Lena didn't rush, she didn't correct him. She held his hand steady, leaned closer and whispered, "Try, I'll wait." Minutes passed. The father watched frozen as Lena remained perfectly still, her eyes full of patience. She wasn't forcing movement, she wasn't hopping for a miracle. She was offering belief. For the first time in months, Adam was not being treated like a body to be managed, but like a person still fighting to be heard. And the cameras captured every second. The change did not happen all at once. It arrived quietly, almost shyly, the way hope often does when people are afraid to believe in it. Days passed after that night with the pen. The father continued checking the cameras, no longer out of fear, but curiosity mixed with something he hadn't felt in a long time. Every evening, Lena returned to Adam's room and repeated the same gentle routine. She spoke to him, she read to him. She placed objects in his hands and waited, sometimes for minutes, sometimes longer, never showing frustration, never giving up early. Then one afternoon it happened. Adam's finger twitched. It was small, so small that anyone rushing through the room would have missed it, but the camera caught it clearly. The pen slipped from Adam's weakened grip and fell onto the paper below, leaving behind a crooked, uneven line. The father stared at the screen, unsure of what he had just seen. His heart began to pound as he rewound the footage and watched it again, and again, each time the same movement, real, unmistakable. His son had moved by choice. Tears blurred his vision. He covered his mouth with his hand, afraid that if he breathed too loudly, the moment might disappear. For months, doctors had spoken in careful voices, offering numbers, timelines, and polite warnings. They had said improvement was unlikely. They had said waiting too long only led to disappointment. But Lena had waited. No doctor had ever waited that long. No nurse had ever believed that a hand everyone else had given up on could still respond. The father watched the footage until his chest ached. Lena's face showed no excitement, no surprise. When the pen fell, she simply smiled softly as if she had expected it all along. She picked it up again, placed it back in Adam's hand, and whispered words the microphone barely caught. "That's okay, we'll try again tomorrow." She never looked toward the camera. She never knew she was being watched. She didn't rush to tell anyone, she didn't call for praise or recognition. There was no celebration, no dramatic reaction. To her, the movement was not a miracle, it was proof of something she already knew. Adam was still there. The truth struck the father harder than any medical report ever had. Healing didn't begin with machines or money. It began the moment someone believed his son was more than his condition. And in that quiet room, under unseen cameras, belief had finally reached back. The very next morning, the millionaire stood alone in the control room, staring at the screens that had once given him comfort. Each camera had been installed to protect his son, yet now they felt unnecessary, almost shameful. One by one, he turned them off. The red lights disappeared, and with them his need to watch from a distance. For the first time in a long while, he understood that Adam no longer needed silent eyes on the walls. He needed trust. Later that day, the father called Lena into his office. She stood politely, hands folded, unaware of the role she had played in changing everything. He thanked her, his voice unsteady, and then made her an offer large enough to change anyone's life. A salary beyond reason, bonuses, security for years to come. Lena listened quietly. When he finished, she gently shook her head. "I don't need all that," she said. She paused before adding the only thing she truly wanted. "Let me stay, he's still in there." The words struck deeper than any contract ever could. The father agreed without hesitation. Months passed and the house changed. Laughter returned in small, careful pieces. Therapy sessions became moments of hope instead of obligation. Lena stayed beside Adam every day, celebrating tiny victories no one else noticed. A blink held longer, a finger lifted higher, a sound formed with effort and patience. Then one quiet afternoon, as sunlight spilled across the room, Adam tried to speak. His lips trembled, his breath caught. Lena leaned closer, never rushing him, never finishing the moment for him. The father stood frozen at the doorway, afraid to move. And then Adam spoke his first clear word. "Thank you." The sound was weak, broken, but perfect. Tears fell freely as the father collapsed to his knees. In that single word lived months of pain, patience, and belief. Not once did Adam look toward a camera, not once did he need proof of being watched. He had been seen. In that moment, the father finally understood what his wealth had failed to give him. No amount of money, technology, or control could replace genuine human kindness. Healing had not begun with machines or monitoring, it had begun with someone who treated his son like a person, not a problem. The cameras were gone, but something far more powerful had taken their place. Hope, patience, love, and those were the things money could never buy.